Today, we're diving into a really simple, but wow, incredibly powerful mental shift. It's one of those ideas that could completely change how you think about your work, your responsibilities, and maybe most importantly, your own energy levels. So let me ask you, does this sound familiar? You've got goals, right? You have this vision for what you want to do, but you find yourself constantly wrestling with motivation, struggling to stay consistent, and just feeling totally drained by the effort of it all. But what if I told you the problem isn't a lack of willpower? What if it's not about you trying harder at all? What if the issue is deeper? See, it's about the fundamental operating system you're running on, and today we're going to explore how to finally upgrade it. Okay, first up, let's get to the root of it. Let's really diagnose the real problem here. Because it turns out the reason we struggle so much often isn't what we think it is. And here it is. This is the crucial distinction. You're probably not struggling with motivation, you're struggling with obligation. And that one word, it changes everything. Because it shifts the focus from what's wrong with me to, wait, what's the energy behind my actions? So let's take a closer look at how this feeling plays out in what we can call the obligation trap. This subtle, sneaky, draining force that can pretty much take over our lives if we let it. It often starts with this voice in your head, that nagging little voice that says, I should be doing this, or I should want to do that. Should? That's the language of pressure, of what you think other people expect. And then it usually gets heavier. It escalates to, I have to. This phrase is even worse. It just strips away your sense of choice and turns what could be a decision into a heavy, heavy command. And here's the master disguise for obligation. People are relying on me. It's so tricky because it wraps itself up in this noble idea of responsibility, which makes it almost impossible to question. But is it actually responsibility or is it something else entirely? And this right here is the core of the trap. When your actions are driven by pressure or fear, your body literally perceives it as a threat. It activates your survival instincts. You go into a low-grade fight-or-flight mode, which is just not a sustainable place to live, create, or grow from. And the consequences of living there? They're huge. Being in that survival mode just drains your energy. You start to resent the very things you feel forced to do. Your ability to be consistent completely falls apart. And motivation, well, it becomes this flickering flame you can just never rely on. It's a direct path to burnout. This contrast, this is everything. On one side, you have responding, basically being pulled around by strings, reacting to pressure. Sure, it might get you to do things in the short term, but it always leads to burnout. On the other side, we have choosing, acting from a place that's aligned with you. That is the path to sustainability and that amazing state of flow we're all looking for. So the big question is, how do we get from one side to the other? How do we stop being the puppet and start being the person in flow? Well, it all starts with one single crucial step, what we can call the awareness pivot. This is the turning point right here. Real, lasting change begins the moment you simply realize you're not choosing, just noticing it. That awareness is the key that unlocks everything else. So, what are the signs? How do you know you're caught in this trap? You've got to pay attention to your body. Does a task feel heavy? Does it feel forced? Does it feel like a burden instead of something that clicks with you? That unexplained irritation or fatigue, those are signals. Your body is telling you something is off. And once you have that awareness, once you can see it, that's when you can start the real work, taking back your power and shifting from a world of pressure to a world of real, genuine choice. Now, this is so important to get. Choice isn't just an idea in your head. It's somatic, which is just a fancy way of saying it's an experience you feel in your body. Your body knows the difference between a pressured yes that feels tight and tense and an aligned yes that feels calm and solid. Let's really break this down. Obligation lights up our threat circuitry. It feels like a heavy burden that just leaks energy. Choice, on the other hand, activates self-trust. It feels stabilizing, it feels grounded, and because of that, following through becomes natural, not forced. And here's the beautiful paradox in all of this. True responsibility can only exist when you have the genuine freedom to say no. Because when your yes isn't just a reaction to pressure, but it's a conscious choice, man, it carries a totally different kind of power. And when you start living from this place of choice, something incredible begins to happen. You start showing up as a real leader in your own life and in your work.
You can think of it like a path. It starts with a new identity taking shape. I am someone who chooses. From there, setting boundaries just becomes effortless. Your authority isn't something you put on, it's embodied, and then action just flows naturally without all that constant pushing and hustling.
And what's wild is that the world around you actually responds to this shift. Opportunities, respect from others, even your income. They aren't drawn to the frantic energy of obligation. They're drawn to the calm, self-led authority that comes from making clear, conscious choices.
The moment that internal pressure collapses, your natural state of flow comes back online. It's not that you're doing more work, you've just stopped wasting all your energy fighting yourself. You've plugged the leak. And that really brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. The solution isn't more effort. It's not about pushing harder on a locked door. It's about having more awareness. It's realizing there's a key right in your pocket. The answer isn't to hustle more, but to simply become more aware of what's really going on inside. So I'll leave you with this question to just sit with. Where in your life are you acting because you feel needed rather than because you are truly choosing? And the answer to that's not a place for more effort. That's the perfect place to start practicing a little more awareness.